Hello, everyone. You are listening to Those Other Girl with Mallory and Friends. I'm Mallory,
I'm Savannah.
and we are changing culture and bringing back traditional values. So today, it might seem as if we have a different co-host because she is different. This is Savannah Craven, and you guys might be following her on Instagram. She also has had two very, very popular songs. She had one about Candace Owens. What was it specifically called? Was it just called?
Be like Candace. It's kind of like
Okay.
Cardi B diss and how you can be successful and be yourself without basically selling your body and being crazy.
Yes, and that's how I started following her. So that was over a year ago, and she also has a "Let's Go Brandon" song out that came out back in November, and she is just amazing. And if you follow her, she has really good commentary. I've shared some of her stuff on our on Those Other Girls page. You guys, I'm sure you've seen her face. Anyway, Savannah, super glad you're here. Can you just tell people a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm an actress. I went to school for musical theater in New York City, and it was quite the experience, to say the least, being
Yeah.
openly Christian and conservative. After the pandemic, I sort of swayed away from that and was trying to figure out what I was going to do because flights shut down from New York, in and out of New York, and basically any entertainment stuff was put on pause. And
Yeah.
I started to really find myself in Christ in later 2020. And then I attended my first Turning Point USA event, which is where it was really, the turning point for me, no pun intended, for me to really start incorporating my love of theater and performance and sort of bring it together with my love for politics. So that's exactly what I did, and that has gotten me so many amazing experiences and has brought me so much closer to God and found people that I connect with on that level. So last summer, I did a production of Oklahoma the Musical with James O'Keefe and a bunch of other canceled artists that were canceled for being openly conservative, openly supporting
Okay.
police.
Okay. That's what Ariana, the RV.
Aren't doing.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, I saw that. I wasn't sure what was going on, but it was for people who had practically been canceled, who were canceled,
Yeah.
so they could have. That is
So
fantastic.
yeah, it was. So basically, not
Wow.
all of the artists had been canceled, or not all of the artists that were in the show were even conservative. It was really just the whole point of the production company. Brian Cloudis was the director. He was a canceled director when he openly said that he was going to vote for Trump. I think it was in early 2019. Basically, a bunch of people from his company just quit, was saying that he was a racist, a liar, all these crazy things, right? Because that's what the left does. When you have a
Yeah.
different opinion, they just go and attack you and call all you these names, no matter what your past was with them.
Yeah.
So he started gathering together, all these people. We found Ariana, who is a ballerina. She's been in Vogue and many other magazines. And then James O'Keefe is a lover of theater. He was in theater in high school.
Okay,
And
that makes so much sense. The things I've
yeah,
been seeing on his page lately, I'm like, wow, what? Wait, what? Okay,
yeah.
this is good. Insider's perspective.
Yes. So he is also just an extremely talented and down to earth. Everything that he does, including his work for Project Veritas, I'm sure all of you guys watching have seen it. That's what he puts to every other aspect of his life. He just puts that 1000% energy, and it is so incredibly inspiring. And we need people like him, with the platform and what he does and being openly conservative and the work that he does. We need that support, right? Because the industry that I was trying to go into, Hollywood and, the New York Broadway industry, is so heavily funded by the Democrats. So that was a really great experience. And
I
yeah,
love that so much. That is so needed. We need to be in every aspect, and we need to just not necessarily be like. So I've said this before. All of our famous people are famous because they are conservative, as opposed to just being a famous actress that happens to be conservative. And that's where we're missing the ball. We're missing the ball. Like, your conservatism and your Christianity is part of your identity, but we do need to have people who that's not their entire identity. They need to have
right.
other aspects. I love that. Wow, I did not know that about James O'Keefe.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
awesome. So, basically a little bit later, him and his team decided that they wanted to put on a production when they were going to do their what they were going to do for their presentation at America Fest, which was Turning Point's recent event in December in Arizona. And so we've all seen, a million times people get up there and do their speech where they talk about themselves for 20 minutes and you're just kind of like, okay, but
Yeah, and then if you've been to enough, it's the exact same speech. They do it
right.
every single. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but as humans, we're visual creatures. We love bright lights, looking at things, and theater and music in general is a way for people to cope. It's a way for people to express themselves. And so if you weren't able to watch the Project Veritas experience, the short version of it at America Fest, you definitely should look up the clip to that. But it was so inspiring because it told the story of James's life and all the trials and tribulations that he went through to get where he is today through that visual experience. So there was dancing, there was
wow,
singing, there was, things up on the back of the stage. And instead of just sitting there saying like, I did this then and I did this, this year, it was like we followed along in the story. They had a young James actor. They had multiple,
wow,
people that was in his life. Like when he worked with Lila Rose for live action, that Planned Parenthood thing where they uncovered that they were basically okay with you donating to fund an abortion specifically for a Black baby, which is incredibly racist.
yes,
So him uncovering all these things, it was just like, wow, to watch that, like you were really there. So basically they put a few more things that happened in his life together for the PV experience that we just had. And so, yeah, that was pretty incredible to be a part of.
wow. I love so I see things and I saw I was like, oh, that's cool. They're play, but I didn't really know like all of that. I'm telling you, like I saw James did like a music video probably almost a year ago, and I remember thinking that's different. I'm kind of
Yeah, it
he's
is.
a journalist, but that's different. Okay, he made a music video, but now that I know he has like theater background and he's like that's his thing, that I don't know, that makes it to me that's even cooler, and I like that. Like at first I was like, this is really left field. I mean, doesn't he go undercover? Like this is, but
Yeah,
also to remind you, people can have different interests too.
exactly. And he's been getting a lot of hate, from other conservatives. I'm
Really?
like, this is why people think that conservatives are so boring because you don't let us
Yeah.
have any fun. The entire
Yeah.
time that James was doing Oklahoma, we were there for 5 weeks rehearsing and doing the show. He
That's
had his
fantastic.
team there literally working 24/7 like they normally do. He just moved his team. He's able to do that, right?
Yeah.
When we had our days off, he flew back to his headquarters and he kept on working, but he is a person, he's a human being, he's allowed to have other interests. And I love that he's not only, interested in other things, but he's incorporating his passion and the movement into what he loves. And that is
Yeah.
what we need. You would be shocked about how many people I went to college with at a super liberal campus, right in the heart of New York City, on the Upper West Side. People were conservative, pro-life, but they didn't ever want to say anything because you would have been completely canceled. Like I was. Like I don't have any of my friends in college anymore, friends, because they all don't want to associate with me because of my views. But
Yeah.
it hasn't stopped me. If anything, it has literally propelled me to being into what I am because I got my first job because I was openly conservative. You know what I mean? And just being
Yeah.
myself. And I feel like, James has said the moment you start being yourself is the moment you become truly free. And I completely live by that because I felt like I was trapped in college. I felt like I couldn't do what I wanted to do or be who I really was because I had all these people telling me or talking about, oh, pro-choice people, they just only care about the baby. They don't care about the mother. Or you hear, oh, Christianity. We can talk about every other religion and we can worship rocks and bring those
Right.
to class, but we can't talk about Christianity.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
you know? So that's what we have. People got to step up and it's going to
We
hurt.
have to.
So,
Yeah.
it hurt me. I lost people I really cared about, but you know what? They didn't get me where I was today. They didn't support me to get where I am today. And that's what you got to realize. You got to drop these people that are holding you back from really fulfilling your purpose.
And it sounds also too like you've made friends, you've made a community, even though you lost those people. I tell people all the time, like, yeah, it sucks when you lose your friends, especially people you've known for years, but you do gain some good, genuine friends. Like, I have gained so many good, genuine friends in this movement, just from doing pro-life stuff. Honestly, from doing the podcast, I've met people here and there that I genuinely love and they love me. So it's, I mean, you're so right. Drop the people that don't care about you. And if they really did care about you, they wouldn't care that about your political beliefs. That would just,
Exactly.
I have a really good friend from college. He's my only friend really, or I have one other friend that I still talk to from college. And we could not be any more opposite on the political spectrum, but we just don't talk about it. And I'm hoping to, and he's not a Christian yet. And I'm hoping and praying that, like, you know, me continuing to shine my light, me standing up for what I believe in will show him a different side. But that's just like a whole nother side note. But anyway, that's, I mean, that's so cool. I did not know that about
Yeah.
that whole thing. So are you guys going to do another? Do you know if you're going to do another play soon or?
Well, I hope so. You know, they're talking about like maybe going on tour, and then I've talked to some of the PV guys, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know about that. That's a lot of work." You know, they're working 24/7, so
Yeah.
you got to see. But it was a huge hit. Madison Cawthorn was there, Matt Gates, and they all just said it was amazing. You know, a lot of people aren't really fans of musicals and don't really realize what we do, but if you were there and you really, you know, experienced it, you do see that we just told the story that every other politician tells, you know, at a book launch or at, you know, an America Fest event, Turning Point USA event or CPAC or something, but just through a visual, physical representation, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yeah.
for me, it's just so much more interesting that way. It's like you're really living it, you're really seeing what's going on. So,
Yeah. And I think we'll get into the topics after this, but I do think it's really good that you and everyone else that's a part of that is doing that, because there are people, like you said, that you went to college with that are conservative. There's people who are in college now in musical theater in college that are, they're nervous to speak up, but the more people that speak up, we have strength in numbers. There's more of us than of them. And if we continue to speak up, we continue to do these things, we continue to open these spaces for people who are similar, have similar beliefs, it's going to make a huge difference. I'm sure there are people listening. Like, I'm thinking of one girl now that listens that is in musical theater, and we've had conversations about how hard it is. Like, you are someone, like, thank you for what you're doing. You, everybody that participated,
yeah,
because this is really what um, people are watching it. Like, this is how you get more people to be interested. This is how you get more people to stand up. And then it won't be like that, because half
yeah,
of the people will be conservative. So you don't have to worry about the other half that's going to say, oh, da, 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 da.
exactly. And, you know,
Yeah.
just being around these people, like, we don't even find each other talking about that because we all share that love of creating and performing.
Yeah.
You know, it's great that we share the same values and we have the same look at life, but like, it's really not that big of a deal, you know? We
Yeah.
all share that love of creating and, you know, pretending, playing pretend, you know, being a
Yeah.
different character. It's like, let's just share that and stop focusing on if someone is
Yes.
vaccinated, if someone voted for Donald Trump or not. Like, what does that have to do with your talent or your character, you know?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
really just start focusing on that. Like, life is gonna be so much easier.
Yes. And honestly, those are really just secondary issues to who you are as a person. Those are, I mean, it's part of your identity, but it's just, they're secondary issues. You, people, we're so much more than how we voted, we're vaccinated. But someone who only really cares about that is Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
So this is my transition. So our first topic for the day is Whoopi Goldberg. She was suspended at The View after her wrong and hurtful Holocaust comments. And when we were preparing for this, we both were like, "Oh, how about we do this story, you guys?" So we have a lot to say. Okay. Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended from ABC and The View after her controversial Holocaust comments on Monday's episode of the daytime talk show. Effective immediately, I'm suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for wrong and hurtful comments, ABC News President Kim Goodwin said in a statement to People, which was also posted to Twitter. Goodwin said, while Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time and reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, families, and communities. while discussing how a Tennessee school board unanimously voted to remove a graphic novel about the Holocaust. I'm sorry. So she says, while discussing how a Tennessee school board unanimously voted to remove a graphic novel about the Holocaust, I said that the Holocaust wasn't about race. It was instead about a man's inhumanity to man. Goldberg continued, but it was indeed about race because Hitler and Nazis considered Jews to be an inferior race. Yep. She also tweeted, I stand corrected, before apologizing for the hurt I have caused. A rep did not immediately respond following the 2-week announcement. So what are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts when you heard about this?
I mean, I'm not surprised with it coming from Whoopi Goldberg, but it's just so incredibly sad. And it just proves that the elites really don't live in the real world, because they have no compassion for anyone but themselves. And she will always revert to victimhood. Even though she makes millions of dollars, she gets away with almost everything that she says, she will always revert to victimhood. She tries to say that she didn't know that the Holocaust was about racism because she interpreted it differently. Are you kidding me?
It was such an ignorant statement.
Yeah, but then she won't even give a real apology, because in her brain, she somehow convinced herself that she is not wrong. She cannot, liberals in general and people like her that are the elites, they cannot ever admit that they are wrong, because there is some sort of way that they think that, oh, well, only Black people can be, receive racism.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to say, I believe, I'm not quoting exactly, but she said that race is what she sees. First of all, that is
wow.
So you're going to say that you're just going to look at someone and assume what they are and how you're going to treat them based on the color of their skin.
Wow.
And have we made any progress?
I like what you said about the elites, because that is probably the biggest difference. That's probably the biggest thing about her. She's out of touch with reality. She has no idea anything outside of her little bubble. And in her bubble, all she probably has is a bunch of yes men. And like you said, she probably has no idea she actually really offended. When we heard the statement, my mom and I were watching the news, and my mom was like, wow, that sounds exactly like every other one. I was like, yeah, because they all have the same publicist, they all read the same little script. She's not sorry. I doubt she's even really sorry.
She's not sorry, because again, she somehow convinced herself that she is not wrong, and she will never
and that
be.
She's somehow the victim.
Exactly.
ABC is mad at, I'm sure she's probably marching around our house. ABC's mad at Black people. I can't believe I got 2-week suspension. Blah blah blah. I
know, and I really hope that she does use these 2-week suspension to, get her head out of her, where.
Yeah.
Seriously, that was literal genocide. They attempted to wipe out an entire race, right? Yeah. And we have that happening right now with abortion. That is what they tried to do to the Black people, right?
Yeah,
but is she gonna talk about that? Probably not.
No,
probably not. But seriously, I mean, you cannot only be racist toward Black people. I have people commenting in my comment section, oh, well, she didn't know, and everybody interprets racism differently. We don't just get to change definitions of words and what happened in history because you don't feel like it's really what it was.
Right.
That is not how we learn. That is not how we move forward. So it's incredibly disappointing. When I was growing up, I really liked watching her as an actress, and just to see someone that so inspired me to start acting be so ignorant and then not even care about it. It's I think the worst thing you can do is be blatantly wrong and then just be like, oh, well, it's just not the way I interpreted it, so I'm not really going to apologize.
Yeah. And I've seen so many people say that on my Facebook, I used to really look up to her. My grandma loved her. My grandma's probably rolling over in her grave just hearing how out of left field she's probably the worst one on the field, if we're being honest. Craziest ideas. And we can say whatever we want about Meghan McCain, but she was mean to Meghan. Meghan, it is what it is on her, but she was straight up mean to that girl. And she was mean to Candace too, but Candace was on there. Candace Burr.
Yeah.
And this woman is so wrapped up in herself. And that's so interesting also too, what she said about she said she only sees color. that also too, I'm shocked, but I guess I shouldn't be about that statement. That is just so ignorant. And that is literally what they talk about other people doing.
Exactly.
That's
That's what
literally,
conservatives
yeah,
do. That's what they say all white people do. It's like if the first thing you're worried about when you look at me is the color of my skin, that's the first thing that goes into your brain. You have a serious mental problem. You
yeah,
seriously have a mental problem and you need to check yourself because I have never once looked at someone and thought, "Oh, they're black. Oh, they're Asian." Like that, no.
it
Like
doesn't
you just
matter.
don't do that. It doesn't matter.
No,
It's not normal, but that is literally what the left has been focusing on for
yeah,
years, especially in these past 2 years. It's like the Black Lives Matter, like, oh, let's focus on everything. People tell me that I'm not black enough because I only am half black and half white. Like, why are you so focused on color? You guys say that
yeah,
you want to care about all these races. Asian lives matter, Hispanic lives matter, Black lives matter, but when it comes to white lives, oh well, you can't be racist toward them.
yeah.
Like it's just it's completely disappointing, and it's like they're doing the opposite, but again, like I said, she doesn't even realize it
No,
because she
no.
has her
She has,
own definition of everything.
yeah. And I think these type of people, all they care about is how they're very narcissistic. All they really care about is how they feel. Well, I feel as if what I said wasn't wrong. It doesn't really matter if you think it's wrong. It doesn't even matter if the facts say I'm wrong. I don't feel like I'm wrong. So I'll say I said the wrong thing, but I don't really mean like, and also to like the air about her. I like
Yeah.
over the years I have grown to really dislike her. She has
Yeah.
just she's just and she comes off so mean, like for no
Right.
like angry all the time. Also, too, this is just like a random thought. Goldberg isn't that like a Jewish last name?
Yeah, it's not really her real name.
Okay, so I
Her
thought about
name
that.
is Karen Johnson, which is really
No,
fun.
it's not.
It is. Her real name is
Karen
Karen
Johnson. That's
Johnson.
hilarious. Okay, so why? I mean, using her words, isn't she appropriating Jewish culture? Like, why would she switch
Right.
over
Right. Is that appropriation? I mean, come on.
Karen Johnson? I cannot believe that's her real name.
Yeah.
That is so funny, Karen.
Karen. And
Wow.
she is a Karen.
Yes. Wow. That is so okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
on
didn't
to
know
our
it till a couple days ago. I was like, okay.
well, on to our next story. Euphoria's Sydney Sweeney gets raw about nudity on set. She says, "I feel disgusting." HBO's hit show Euphoria has always featured risky content and that turns heads. One of the stars, Sydney Sweeney, is opening up about the nude scenes she has participated scenes with an S, everyone. She has participated in over the last couple of seasons. Sweeney, who also starred in White Lotus and The Handmaid's Tale. Oh, that's interesting. Opened up recently about what it's really like to be nude on set in the Euphoria. She hasn't felt comfortable every time she had to get naked in the past, and she was sure to communicate that to the director. Sunny shared that she has set some boundaries when they are filming for season 2. Quote, "There are moments where my character Cassie was supposed to be shirtless, and I would tell Sam, I don't really think that's necessary." She told The Independent. He was like, "Okay, we don't need to do it." Although she put her foot down in those moments, she said that she never felt unsafe. She never felt unsafe with Sam on set. "When I didn't want to do it, he didn't make me," she concluded. She partly attributes her feelings of safety to having an intimacy coordinator on set who had her best interest in mind when there was a delicate scene at hand. Okay, so you are in this world pretty much. So you can maybe give us a little bit of a different perspective and context on this. First, before we give your opinion, what is an intimacy coordinator?
So basically, I had this my third semester of college. The person would come in and basically get, a girl and a guy and would sit them down or, whoever chose to be together. And they would just basically would just start with simple touching and just see how kind of like how that felt, right? And if anyone ever felt, because if we had to kiss in a scene or kiss in a
Yeah.
song, that was something that, we had to do. Obviously, I actually never got to the point where anyone said that they were like super uncomfortable or like didn't want to do something. I've had to kiss people in shows before, and it's always been like, okay, this is like the rehearsed
Just
thing
acting,
that we're
yeah.
gonna do. This is acting. And a lot of people don't understand it, but as long as you and your partner are comfortable, whoever you're working with, it's fine. But an intimacy coordinator's job is just to be there. So if anything does sort of happen, and they're there, and also to lock in that choreography, because it is choreography. If your hand is supposed to go here, it should not be here, it should not be here, it should be right here where you choreographed it, just like dancing, right?
Yeah.
So they're there to lock that in and make sure that's what's going on, and sort of be, like that third party, like viewing, like this is what we're doing. So
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good thing then to have someone in case people get a little handsy, even like, hey, okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so what do you think about this as someone who is in the acting field and yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do a nude scene. I would not be comfortable with that. Also, with my uh just my Christianity, it just doesn't feel
Yes.
right. I've had to do a scene before where in class where I was basically playing a hooker, and I had to wear a very short skirt and these like thigh high boots and like a tank top. And to be honest, like I felt pretty uncomfortable like during the entire scene, and we had to do it multiple times. It was like one of those that we were workshopping. So we did it for like 2 weeks, and I constantly like had to wear this outfit, and I just like, oh my gosh, like wish that this was not the scene that we were doing. So yeah, it's definitely something that you feel pressure by, because your teacher likes it, or your classmates are like, oh, you're doing that role so good or whatever. And obviously this show is a hit. I've never watched it, but I've
It's
been hearing a
awful.
lot about it. I'm sure it is.
It's
Like I
I
feel like
tried it.
you have to bring so much nudity into the scene, into it. It's like it just takes away from everything
I
else.
was just about to say, like, the music is I saw first episode in the beginning of the second. The music fantastic. The lighting is really good. The storyline is even very interesting. It's just so much nudity.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody will be chilling, and all of a sudden the camera will pan to like a penis. Like not even joke. Like it'll just be,
Oh,
and they're
that
all supposed.
movie. Wow.
Yes, yes, and they
Wow.
don't leave anything. It's HBO, so they're like, oh, we have the right, so they'll leave everything out. And then I can go on and on about the show because it's awful. Because also too, the thing that makes me very uncomfortable, and I don't understand how adults like it. They're all supposed to be in high school, and obviously because of laws, the actors are not in high school. But the show takes place in high school, so
Oh,
why are they showing like it'll just be a literal and like breast everywhere. It's just
oh, wow.
too much. It takes away from the story. It's kind of it's obviously for shock factor, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
But
But,
it's too much.
obviously, I'm sure that this is, like, available. There's no, like, age restriction on this
No,
show, right?
no.
So,
I'm sure there's 10-year-olds
again,
watching it.
yeah, this is another problem, right? It's the
Hmm.
same thing as porn, like, we're
It
literally
is. It's
directing it
really,
toward
yeah.
children, and children are watching this, because every time I see it on TikTok, it pops up on, a video about this episode of Euphoria or whatever. I look, and like the people that are making these videos like 16, 17 years old, like 18, that's still too young. Like I
Yeah,
believe that 18, 19 years old is still too young to be looking at these type of things, because
I
your brain is
agree.
still developing. It's going to give you unrealistic expectations of what it's like to, commit to someone, have sex with someone, how relationships are going to go. And it's quite creepy. I did not know the part about them being in high school.
They're
That's
in high
quite
school,
creepy.
Savannah. It's incredibly creepy.
Oh,
It's and it I'm like, I don't like to judge people, but I do look at people sideways when they're like adults and like, yeah, I love that show. I'm just kind of like, oh, I
definitely.
don't know. It's weird. It makes me uncomfortable. And another thing is also, you said it gives you unrealistic expectations. I think about this lady, Monica Klein. I'm gonna have her on the podcast eventually. And in her part of her story is she used to teach sex ed for Planned Parenthood. And she went, I hope I'm not butchering the story, but she went to teach some kids, talk to them or something like that. And one of the girls raised her hand and she was like, hey, how can I make like doing a blowjob more enjoyable? I hate it. And she was like, well, you don't have to do it. And the girl was like, wait, what? I don't have to do it? Like these kids don't even know it's not even like a requirement to be in a relationship. And the
Yeah.
show that is such a good point. The show is going to give them unrealistic expectations, because you're right. It's not people our age. I mean, there are people our age watching it, but the main people are like 16, 17. Like, they're like, oh, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, this is what's going on. And it just, and I think about, did you ever watch Degrassi growing up?
I did not know.
Okay, so I wasn't really allowed to watch Degrassi, but as I got older, I kind of tried to sneak watch it. And Degrassi was kind of out there too. But what I always think about, like comparing the shows, is on Degrassi, there was a part where one of the girls, she got really drunk. She was in high school and she lifted her shirt, and the guy was filming it and he sent it all out to everybody. That was the plot line. The difference between Euphoria and Degrassi was they didn't show us her breasts, and the next day when he sent it to everybody was mad and he got reprimanded by the teacher. So like people, like they showed that's not okay. There is a consequence to doing that. And she also, I mean, it was also shown that like, hey, she shouldn't have gotten drunk and done that. But shows like Euphoria and some of the other ones out now, there's not really consequences for those actions. It's not really, and they'll just show you, like, if it was on Euphoria, they would have showed us the whole thing. They probably would have blasted it everywhere. It just would have been too much. And that's where we are in TV today. That's why, I mean, I say this all the time. As soon as someone has a really good production company, and don't tell me Pureflix, I'm sorry, until Pureflix can, I don't know what their problem is, but until they can get better scripts, better lighting, something, I'm not going to support Pureflix. But as soon as someone else has good writing, good lighting, I will give them a portion of my paycheck every month, because we need better entertainment.
Absolutely. And you know, it's so brave of this actress to speak out against this.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's so many people, you know, we see actresses like Miley Cyrus who have literally been in the spotlight since, you know, basically day one. You know, they have that famous parent and they've grown up in this and they feel that pressure to like, oh, well, just, you know, because it's just one article of clothing, like, oh, just slip your shoulder a little bit. And then it's like, well, just take your shirt off. We'll just wear a bra. You know what I mean? And it just gets worse when it's like, okay, you know, and your manager, you know, your agent tells you, oh yeah, you know, it's fine. Everyone does it. It's no big deal. But if you truly feel that inside, that it's like, this is like degrading toward me, this is not worth, you know, the money that I make. I mean, I'm sure she's just making like so much money, right?
Oh,
And
I'm sure.
it's obviously not enough. Like it's not enough for her. So I think it's great. You know, I think the feminists should be all over this, but
I agree. Yeah.
So they should be all over this, you know, saying how brave she is, saying that our body is a temple and it belongs to one person, two people, yourself and your husband. And I don't think that her talent is showing through with her being naked. I really don't, you know?
Yeah, I think it takes away from the art. I really do. I think excessive nudity, I'm not even really trying to think. I can't even think of a situation where I think nudity is appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate at all. Even if it's maybe like, let's say it's even a Christian movie that's trying to make a point, we can imagine like if someone's naked, or like how they used to do with the sex, like how they used to do with sex scenes back in the day, like pan over the bed and we'd be like, oh my god, they're having sex. Like that's perfectly fine. Like you don't have to, you can leave things up to the imagination. I think like nudity just really takes away from the art. And I think, and like you said, she's so brave for speaking out, because I doubt there's not too many people who are saying anything, because you also made another good point. There's probably a lot of pressure just to keep doing what they say. And like, and I'm not in this industry at all, but I know that there's been times where like I've kind of been uncomfortable doing something, but I'm like, well, you know, it'll be good for the cause, or well, it'll help so and so if I do this. And even if I'm uncomfortable and I kind of just like go for it, even though I don't really want to. And it's really good for her to say this. And hopefully more people will do that. I don't know how true this is, but I also heard that Zendaya, she's in the show, and that she has a no nudity in her contract. So everybody will be like naked in the scene and she'll be the only one with her clothes on. So I like that and I respect that a lot. I mean, I don't think she should be in the show, but I respect that.
She's worked hard enough and she's developed that reputation. I think that she is a great actress, that she doesn't need to do that, and good for her for putting that in there, because honestly, I wouldn't want to watch her after that. I grew up with her watching Shake It Up. Do you really think I want to see her naked now? No,
Right.
like, I see her as the 14-year-old that I wanted to be because I wanted to be a dancer when I was 10 watching that show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't wanna see her naked, and everyone else that's growing that grew up with her and, sees these girls, like, would you be up there naked? Probably not. Would you feel comfortable? So why would you pay to watch something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gross.
It is. And I hate that it's so common now. Like, I mean, even show Riverdale, which has gone off the rails. I don't even know why I still watch it. I'm constantly having to fast forward through scenes. And it's like, and Riverdale isn't for my age, it's technically for people in high school, but because I guess I'm mature like that, I still watch it. But like, I just think about like, it's too much. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it really does take away like all these random sex scenes just takes away from the show. It takes away from the purpose of it. And I think also too, if anybody listening is wanting to do a production company or make good movies, like you can tell great stories. Riverdale is weird, but it's like it has a good story plot sometimes. And if they just took out some of that, and like I said, Euphoria, the art or the lighting, like I don't know how they do it. They do this thing, it's really cool. The music is good because it's like up to date music. I don't know, it's great. The story is very interesting because it's based off of this guy who fell into drugs in high school. So why did he pick Zendaya to portray him? Not sure, but it's based off of his life. And it's very interesting. Like I didn't grow up with drugs in high school or anything like that, so I don't really know much about it. So I like the first episode, I was like, okay, I'm learning a little bit. I'm learning a little bit, but all of the nudity and the unnecessary sexual stuff it takes away from the story. I feel like you're no longer telling a story. You're just throwing up random fantasy things. That's the other thing too. Like, what is the purpose of all that? Like, why? I just even if this exact scene is based on real life and everyone was naked for some reason, because there's like a scene that people were talking about where this was a scene that Zendaya didn't strip for. It was like something happened and the drug dealer had asked everybody to like strip down so he can find drugs, something like that, and everybody's naked. Even if that happened in real life, you don't have to show it. Like that's my thing. Like none of these scenes are necessary to get the point across.
Exactly. It's all for that shock value, it's like,
Yeah,
imagine how, much less money they would make if they did censor it. It's all about the money and what can shock people the most. And
yeah,
unfortunately, that's what our society is becoming. We have to get rid of that. We have to start appreciating people for, not sexualizing women, not sexualizing men, based on the way that they look and, what size is what, you know what I mean? We
yeah,
gotta start looking at people as what is their character? What do they truly stand for? And are they a good actress? Do I enjoy watching them?
yeah, yeah. Oh, such good points. We're gonna take a mid-ad roll break. Our biggest sponsor right now is Living in the Light Co. It was started as a passion project in 2019 when Brooke left her full-time nursing job to pursue this. It is an apparel company. She designed all of the designs. None of them are purchased from mass retailers. All of her bows and scrunchies are wholesaled through small businesses in the US. And their goal is to continue to do small businesses so you know where you're getting your purchase. They are 100% spiritually based and run. And my favorite thing in her ad that she sent us was they do not cave to the culture. So if you are looking for some cute apparel that is scripturally based, you can go to litlco.com and use the code those girls to get 10% off.
Amazing.
Alrighty. So our last story before our like official last story is a very good one. Savannah was a part of this, so she's going to be able to give us some in the behind the scenes stuff. So Rolling Stone published an article about Project Veritas. So that already, boom, mind blown. That's amazing. Mainstream media is recognizing what you guys are doing. So the name of this article is Too Much Vino in Project Veritas, My Extremely Weird Evening with James O'Keefe. I think that's a hilarious title. Definitely thought-provoking. You guys will be able to find this link in our show notes and everything in the blog post that we do, so you can read it. Crazy title. When I saw it, I was like, Hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite funny because she is traditionally, more of a left-wing journalist, and it's so funny because somebody was there and captured video of her literally just having the time of her life,
Of
dancing,
course.
and just because that's what it was. It was a big celebration. It was a big
Yeah,
part.
you tell us about, I'm not gonna read the article. You tell us
Yeah.
about it. Like, give us some, tell
Yeah,
us.
so we were in Miami Beach, from the Project Veritas experience, the like mini version of it that they did in Phoenix, Arizona at America Fest. That was sort of like the whole, oh, this is like the sneak peek of it. And then they decided to add on more parts of it. I played the role of Nadia Nefe. She basically was a journalist, and back in 2011, she falsely accused James of sexual assault in order to
Oh,
try and end his career and put him in jail. Obviously, she was proven wrong. She's very, very entitled and just self-centered. She walked in there, she had like braids all the way down to her kneecaps, and she like had this whole thing where she's like, I'm gonna win. And they believe that she was set up to do this, that she was probably paid by someone to make up this lie. And it was so funny,
wow.
she couldn't even like go on with the lie. Like if you read the actual transcripts, like she couldn't put it together. And then the judge goes, well, Nadia, I don't see, you were just calling his phone and like you got a little drunk and, you don't really remember anything after that. I can't really see, anything that makes you seem like you got assaulted. She's kind of like, okay. And like,
They
obviously,
didn't prep her properly.
right, exactly. So that was amazing to play that role because it was just a huge part in James's life where like he got to that point where like, oh my gosh, like this could be over. Was all of this worth it? And then
Yeah.
he just kept going. So
Yeah.
that was what was so inspiring about it. And it followed him through, he graduated from Rutgers and
He went
uh
to Rutgers.
yeah.
I did not. So I went to Seton Hall, and Rutgers was like our rival. Like,
Okay,
we
cool.
were like, that's so crazy. Wow, I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
So, and then what I was talking about with him uncovering the racism in Planned Parenthood, and then Acorn Housing, he uncovered that it was a bunch of prostitution and stuff like that. So we had that scene
Oh,
in
I
there
didn't
with
know
Hannah
that.
Giles. Yeah. So his life is just incredible. I really recommend you guys get his book. It's like number 4 on Amazon
I'll link that.
for a good reason. It's called American Muckraker. And yeah, if you need an inspiration and like to try to find your life purpose, like read this book. Like I've just started reading it and I'm just like, wow. And the man's only 38. I mean, and he's lived a life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for
So
real.
it's incredible. And again, it's just so rewarding to be around people that have the same passion and goals as you. It's just like to uncover all of this mess. I mean, we saw what just happened with the guy at CNN. It's like,
Yeah,
who would have thought, like, I mean, obviously we would, but like these people that don't know this stuff and think that we're crazy and we're conspiracy theorists is like, no, these people are all tied in together. They're all crazy. They're all wicked. They all have this
yeah.
one goal, and it's power, is to lie to you. So no lying over here, and so it was a great experience to like see that, oh, we got it in Rolling Stone, like this is really moving
That is
forward, you know what I
cool.
mean? And
Yeah.
even though she kind of was saying like it was a weird evening, it's like, girl, you were having the time of your life. We have proof of that. And she said that it was an unforgettable experience. So
I
that
mean,
was like such a blessing. It's like, wow, thanks, Rolling Stone.
so this was the play version of this book. That's what it was,
Yeah.
pretty much. Okay.
It was about
So,
60, 70-minute performance.
oh wow. That's a play. Okay.
Right, it's
Wow.
very detailed, so
Wow. So, when did do you know when he came up with this idea to do it like this, or it was just kind of,
I believe him and his team started coming up with the idea of sort of doing it, after we did Oklahoma,
okay.
just because everyone in the PV team, I think they were kinda like, "Oh, James wants to do, like, this musical Oklahoma, like, okay, we just James has good ideas, right? He's an intelligent man, so go along with that." But then when they truly saw, I think, like the true passion that he has performing and being on stage and being in front of that camera and spreading a message, because if you watch all his videos, like when he has these retractos, and he proves people wrong, when people make false claims. They're all very animated and like come with music and
That is true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's so entertaining, right? It's so
Yeah.
much better than just being like tweeting out, oh, look what this person did. It's like, give me the energy, give me,
Yeah.
I love the constant energy and that I never know what to expect. I mean, I go onto the Project Veritas page like every day and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So
thinking about when he uncovered about that guy a couple weeks ago. It might have been a couple months now, where he said that thing about I can get the Republicans to say and do whatever I want. I remember when he like announced that like thinking back, that was very, he was like, and we've got this. It was very dramatic. I
yeah.
didn't even think put two and two together. Wow.
Yeah, all he does
Wow.
is record people. People try to say that he is like this terrorist, like that invades people's personal space. It's like if you're out in public, you're allowed to be filmed. Like
Yeah.
we're recording, asking you questions that need to be answered, and then these corrupt people don't answer or they make up some lie that makes no sense. It's like, yeah, we know we got you. And
And
that's what
also,
I love about he's keeping journalism alive, because now journalism is, oh, it's just whatever the person speaking says. I'm not actually going to say what the real truth is because I'm going to be biased, because I'm being
yeah.
paid by those big corporations. James doesn't care about that. He really cares about the people and he cares about the truth.
Yeah. And also feel like if you aren't saying or doing anything wrong, why not answer a couple questions?
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
if you're in the right, why can't you answer the
Right.
question?
Why are you so
Yeah.
scared? Why do people start running away from
Yeah.
his journalists when they get caught? Like,
Yeah. If you're right, I mean, why be nervous? Wow. Well, that's awesome. So it was basically like so it was a play, and then it was kind of like a party afterwards, and then I
yes,
was
it's
kind of
like
like
an
the thing.
after
Okay.
party.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. We just all hung out and danced, and yeah, it was
I
just a
think I've
great
seen some of the
celebration.
videos on Twitter of like everybody being super happy and dancing and everything. Yeah, wow, that's awesome. So I'll link the Rolling Stones article because I mean honestly it's kind of funny and it's so crazy that she had a good time, because if you read it, she was just around all of these weirdos and how could this
No,
have happened? Oh,
right. Well,
this
she
is
was dancing on some weirdos I think she thought were pretty handsome. So
wow. I mean, you would. So yeah, I'll link that.
yes.
So now we're going to go to our last thing, and this is kind of an article we'll talk about too, you guys. This week we're doing an OG scripture, and the OG scripture is brought to you by Culture of Life 1972. Head over to www.col1972.com and use the code those other girls 1972 to get 10% off of your purchase. So we are going to shift gears, talk about something a little bit heavier. As many of you know, the former Miss USA Chesley Christ died, and she died at the beginning of the week. And this comes out on Saturdays, and I think she died on Sunday or Monday. And so this is quote unquote old news, but I did want to touch it because this is a serious topic, and I think it's something that women, not that we are especially prone to it, but it is an issue that affects women because of just how society has changed so much. I think one of the worst things that we have is social media. I say that as someone who's on social media all the time, but I think social media, if it's not used properly, can be very, very difficult. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and I wanted to give you guys a scripture. This is a scripture. I'm going to also link. It was Christianity.com has some Bible verses for like if you're feeling depressed and just something to like hold on to. And this is a scripture that I use and I like a lot because I'm human. There are times when life is kind of hard. I mean, these past 2 years, everybody has struggled.
Yeah.
And I mean, the economy right now, don't get me started. I am a young 20-year-old and I'm just like, okay, I'm ready for that thriving part. I'm really good at surviving, ready to thrive, God. So I totally get that. And Isaiah 41:10 in the NIV version says, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And I think that, I mean, for me, what helps is going over these verses, but not just like saying them and then going, okay, blah, 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 but like kind of repeating it and getting it in your head and getting it in your heart. Because saying, do not fear, I'm with you. Yeah, okay, do not fear, I'm with you. But like, once you are like, you know what, God is with me, I really don't have to be afraid. It's so much more calming. So much more calming.
Yeah.
And then Savannah, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so, rest in peace. It's a shame that we've lost such a beautiful, inspiring young woman. And I just sort of wanted to touch on the fact that it's like a lot of people probably look at this and go, wow, but she was gorgeous and she was thin and fit and talented. She had it all, she was Miss USA. But
He was a
it's like,
lawyer.
yeah, she didn't have gratitude. Right? That's what this world is lacking. She didn't have gratitude. She had made a statement. I'm not sure if it was in an interview or somewhere exactly, but she basically said that she felt for so long that she was trading her time for like, being Miss USA, being this pageants, working. And I think what this generation doesn't understand is like, just because you're talented, just because you work hard and you have passion doesn't mean this world does like is gonna owe that to you. The world doesn't owe you anything.
Hmm.
People don't owe you anything, so you should never do anything expecting something in return, because you will never achieve anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You will never have that true gratitude and that true happiness within yourself. And I can't speak completely, but I think that she was lacking a relationship with God. I really don't think that she had that relationship to see herself as perfect within God's eyes, because this world, no matter what, is going to reject you.
Hmm.
This world is going to reject you, right? But if you have that relationship with God, to know that God made me exactly how I am, He placed me exactly where I'm at, and this is where I'm meant to be. As long as you got that, and I know it is hard to remember with society telling you that you need to do this, just like with the girl that we just talked about, the society telling her that she needs to get naked in order to be a great
Get the
actor,
money. Yeah, yeah,
to make money. But if you have that relationship within yourself and with God, you're going to be able to fight those demons. um,
yeah.
this was another life unnecessarily lost,
Hmm.
because the world, we get caught up in worldly things. It's so easy.
Hmm.
You can get things so quick on this earth. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
this person's going to say, oh, I can get this to you right now. Well, you don't know when you're going to have that relationship with God, when you're going to go to heaven. So might as well just do it right now. You can just have a relationship with God later. You know how many people say that to you, not that directly, but in other ways. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just a shame. So yeah, it's really sad.
And we've talked on this podcast about this before. We all have a huge hole in our heart. It's a God-sized hole. There is nothing this world can give you. Like, I can tell you, I mean, obviously I've never been like filthy rich, so I can't tell you from that perspective, but I
Yeah,
can tell you from a middle class, mediocre, regular girl's perspective, there is nothing this world has for you that will fill that hole. You will try everything from boys, you will try trying to get money, you will try cars. Even I'm not even a car person, but I remember when I bought my first car, I was on top of the world. Like, nobody could tell me anything. I bought a car, and that's still like, there's still something here. I know that for myself, when I go days without reading the Bible, that I can feel it. You feel something shift.
right.
Days where if I miss, like, for activities or something like that, if I miss church, I'll say even two, it's come to the point where, like, if I miss church for 2 Sundays, I can feel a shift. Like, because our soul yearns Christ, our soul yearns a relationship with Jesus. And you're never going to be satisfied with that. Without
Yeah,
that, you're never going to be satisfied. And this world, I mean, like Savannah said, this world is going to throw so many things at you. It's going to be so there's just going to be so much that if you don't have that foundation, if you don't know who you are, if you don't have your identity set, not in who you vote for, not in your politics, not even in your hobbies, if you don't have your identity set in Christ, I mean, you're going to struggle. You are
exactly.
truly going to struggle.
It's like, if you people say, "Oh, well, once I get this car, I'll be happy. Once I get into this college, I'll be happy. Once I lose weight, I'll be happy. Once I make this amount of money, I'll be happy." No, you won't.
No.
because you're not living for now. You're not living for yourself. You're living for these tangible things, these things that are going to be absolutely worth nothing when you pass, right? You're not bringing
Mm-hmm.
your car with you. You're not bringing your favorite Gucci jacket. None of that's coming with you.
No.
It's what did you do to serve the Lord while you were on this earth? And what impact did you make in other people's
So
lives?
I say, how did you help people?
When
Yeah.
someone mentions your name, what do they say about you? Do they say that you're a great person, or do they say that pretty much just too wrapped into these things you can't even focus on having a simple conversation because you're so focused on these tangible goals that don't even matter, you know?
Yeah. I
So,
think, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, you're good. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
done.
Sorry. I feel like I was cutting you off. I think also too, relationships are so important. And I don't mean boyfriend and girlfriend relationships and husband and wives. Those are important. Get
Yeah.
married, have babies, absolutely. But our relationships with our friends, our relationships with our family, relationships with strangers that we might just cross paths, those are just so important because, like you said, what are people going to like? What impact have you had when you leave a room, when you leave a city, when you left your school? What were people saying? Were you impacting people? Were you impacting people for Christ? Did they say, oh yeah, she was a light that whenever, for example, whenever there's true crime, this isn't funny. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable. But like whenever there's true crime when someone dies, they
Yeah.
always go, they light up the room. So and so was so great. They light up the room. Are I mean, do people say that about you? And I'm not saying like if your personality isn't necessarily, well, you know what? No, your personality shouldn't be to light people up. I was
Yeah.
gonna make that a passport. No, like there's no reason to be gloomy.
Right.
Like that's not a personality trait to be negative and gloomy. You should light up a room. Everybody should. If you are a Christian, God says we are the light of the world. You need to light up a room. Anyway, so my whole point is like, how are you relating to people? And also too, for myself, I know that I also feel so much better when I'm helping people.
Mhm.
The busier I am, for example, doing Those Other Girls, doing some of my activism, volunteering, honestly, sometimes even helping my mom with some of her stuff. The busier I am, the less I have time to feel sorry for myself.
Right.
And these are just some practical things that I would love for you guys just think about. And I just want to remind you, if you are feeling so sad and desperate, suicide is not the answer. It
Never.
might feel like it's never the answer. It might feel like a temporary fix, but that's all it is. It's a temporary fix. And also too, like your family is going to miss you, your people who are around you. It's not the answer.
I mean, just think about how many girls, like their inspiration, the person they wanted to be was, that girl, Miss USA.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Think about that. The girls
Yeah.
are literally like 5 and 6 years old, and now
Yeah.
their idol is gone. It's like she probably didn't know, how many people looked at her Instagram page every single day, looking at her videos, wanting to walk like her, wanting to have
Yeah.
always her smile. It's like, you gotta be humble, obviously, but realize the impact that you're making. Like,
I was gonna say, yeah.
I've watched your things and you do inspire me. And,
Thank you.
I have the pleasure of telling you that to your face, but imagine all the people that watch your podcast that will never get to, tell you that,
Yeah.
so you never know what impact you're making in people's lives.
I was just about to say that. That's another thing too. Like, and I mean, that also helps me move forward, hearing people say that and just also thinking about that because you people, no matter what even if you have like 10 followers, there are people I know who are watching you that really you're impacting them. Anybody that has any type of influence, having 10 followers is an influence because there's 10 people, even if one of them is you're influencing your grandmother. She's probably going back and telling
Influencers,
people,
yeah.
yeah, we're all influencers, you guys. So
I mean,
you have
I
no
go to work
idea.
and like there's like the people that are positive every day, even though it's like 7 in the morning and we're already working. And then there's the people that are like, oh, it's 7 a.m. I have to do this every single day. It's like, you have to do every single day. But think about how much easier it would be if you were like, I'm going to do this every day. This is what I do. I'm going to make money. I'm going to come to work with a positive attitude.
Yes,
Instead of
yes,
kind of like making everybody remember that we have to be here at 7 in the morning. Like, we know
yeah,
why, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like the people that
We
come
do
in
this every
and they're
day.
like,
Yeah.
got my coffee, got my drink or whatever, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
That's what people want. So
Yeah, yeah. Good points. Like, and you don't have to fake positive. There's like toxic positivity, but there's like, you know what? Sometimes you do like we said earlier, sometimes life can be hard, especially like I just think about like right now with the economy and trying to do my own things like that. It's hard, but this is temporary. Like things are going to get better. It always does. It goes up and down. And then B, one thing that I've learned is, especially as a Christian, life is not going to be perfect. And I think that's something that we as a generation need to work on, just realizing like everything is not always going to be perfect. I know when I grew up, I mean, I'm sure we had tons of troubles, but I do feel like my life was so perfect. I feel like I had a really good upbringing. I mean, bullied in school, but like I came home and I had great parents. I had friends outside of school. I had friends in school too, even though I was bullied a little bit. But I did feel like my life was perfect. But that's not realistic. Now that I'm an adult, things are not always going to be perfect. So we have to learn to adjust.
right.
This is not how I want it to be. So let me just move and pivot a little bit here. I think sometimes we forget that we want life to be so perfect. That's why I think sometimes people use that argument for abortion, like, oh, they're going to be born into poverty, blah, blah, blah,
Well,
which is sad, but life is not perfect. And you can all, like, there's so many things, there's help, you can get out. It is possible,
yeah,
especially when you're young.
yeah, I found that the people that I went to school with, they have their own apartments in New York City. They had more money, more problems, more depression. They were on more medication than the people that came from small towns like me. I was never super rich growing up, but I had it pretty well. My mom gave
Yeah,
me everything that I wanted because she worked for it, right? And I was able to have those experiences, and I'm forever grateful for that. But these kids that are just handed everything, like, here you go. Oh, well, you're going to this elite school and we're paid to tell you that you're amazing and you don't have a single flaw. And then they come into the real world and they're like, oh, you don't think I'm amazing? But I've been told that my
mm-hmm,
entire life. I've never
mm-hmm.
struggled once. I've never been turned down. You're not prepared for real life.
Yeah,
So don't think that having more money, having that new car, losing weight is going to make you happier, because it's not. We look at
no,
Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, some of the most
perfect
talented people
examples.
to ever exist, most beautiful people to ever exist, and look what happened. We thought that Robin Williams was the happiest, funniest guy on the earth. Look what happened with him.
Yeah,
So let's just look back at this and, double think and just know that there is always a better option. There's always someone out there that cares about you and that needs you, is depending on you. Even if they
yeah,
don't say it, there are people in this world that are depending on you and probably can't wait every single day to hear from you or see,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. And on that note, I think we'll end it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. The ending was a little bit heavier, but I really feel like we should talk about that because that is something that happened. And I really wanted you guys to hear something positive in that direction because, what everybody else is saying is, some people are just saying some outlandish things. And I wanted you guys to hear a Christian response. I will link those verses to think about and to be able to meditate on if you are ever in a situation where you're just feeling like you're drowning. Also, too, you can always reach out to our Instagram page or email us. I go to bed early, so if you email us late at night, I will not be responding, but I'll respond early in the morning, and I'll do my best to respond and help however I can. Savannah, thank you so much for being on. This was great. I'm so glad to have you on. We gotta have you come back again and do some more,
Absolutely.
especially if we do like Hollywood theater related stuff. I definitely you're an expert, so I really would love to have you back on. And everybody listening, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this episode, please share it. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps with our algorithm, and we're trying to build this up because the whole purpose of this is to get other girls to feel as if they're being represented, and it is for other girls to know that there's a community and there's alternative opinions on things. That's the other thing too. The podcast world is filled with podcasts that all think and say the same boring things. We're giving you a Christian conservative perspective, and people won't know unless you share. So if you are enjoyed this, share with all of your friends. And yeah, I'm just asking you to share. go to our site for some cute merch. We have the sweatshirt, our anti-abortion sweatshirt. We have some t-shirts, just a bunch of stuff. I think that's it. I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, that's it. Use all of our codes on the website as well. And Savannah, thank you so much again. And everybody, thanks so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.